Welcome back to Yang Daily. I'll be your host, Alex Cheney, bringing you all the Yang news you need to live your life right. Merry Wednesday, everybody. We've got a lot to go over today, starting with some pretty big news. Shout out to our Tier 3 patrons, Peter Park and Shay Meehan, as well as all our other patrons. Thank you for supporting this service so it can continue. In big news to some, Pope Francis has endorsed same-sex civil unions, saying, quote, "Homosexual people have the right to be in a family. They are children of God. Nobody should be thrown out or made miserable over it. What we have to have is a civil union law. That way they are legally covered." End quote. The Pope's endorsement of civil union contradicts Catholic Church doctrine, which still maligns homosexuality, at least gay acts, as a sin. I can hear the objections already. Pope Francis is definitely going to be catching hell over this one, pun intended. The DOJ announced Wednesday that Purdue Pharma, the company behind the powerful prescription painkiller OxyContin that set off an opioid addiction epidemic that killed thousands, will plead guilty to 3 federal criminal charges, including conspiracy to defraud the United States and violating federal anti-kickback laws, as part of a settlement of more than $8 billion. The deal does not release any of the company's executives or owners, members of the wealthy Sackler family, from criminal liability, and a criminal investigation is ongoing. The Sacklers will lose all control over their company, a move already in the works, and Purdue will become a public benefit company, meaning it will be governed by a trust that has to balance the trust's interests against those of the American public and public health. Part of the money from the settlement would go to aid treatment of the opioid epidemic, but many consider it insufficient, including Connecticut Attorney General Tong, who said in a statement, quote, "The federal government had the power here to put the Sacklers in jail, and they did not. Instead, they took fines and penalties that Purdue likely will never fully pay." End quote. I have to agree. Mass murder should not be met with economic consequences alone. I guess we'll have to wait and see what the further investigation brings up. A blog post from James Surowiecki provides a good overview of industries that have not recovered their customer base since lockdowns being lifted, including movie theaters, restaurants, and gyms, even this far into the pandemic. We've known from previous data that the economy became suppressed before lockdowns engaged, as consumers pulled back on their own for fear of COVID. This report just shows how that has not changed. The economy continues to be suppressed not by lockdowns, as Trump claims, but due to an atrocious pandemic response that has left the U.S. with hundreds of deaths per day, long after many countries which followed sound advice squashed their COVID problems flat. The only thing that will bring the economy back is restoring demand by controlling the virus and infusing monthly cash to citizens. Unfortunately, our president is doing everything he can to prevent the former, and our Senate is doing everything it can to prevent the latter. If the GOP were trying to kill the economy, I don't know what they'd do differently. Throw in the undermining of our institutions, up to and including democracy, and it seems inarguable to me that they're just trying to destroy America in general. It's also true that at this point, our economy will never return to what it was, due to permanent business closures and permanent changes in consumer behavior. But anyway, good resource to bookmark. One such change would be Sam's Club joining the supermarket chain craze in adopting robotic floor scrubbers. Other stores are also using robotic shelf stockers and inventory bots, along with, of course, auto checkout. Slowly but surely, every job in the joint is being automated. Once again, this would be great news for humanity, except that so many are stuck in wage slavery due to a perverse economy that turns progress into a negative. But there's cause for hope. I think Mark Cuban is drinking deeply of the Yang Gang punch these days. He tweeted, quote, "Let's be real, quantitative easing is UBI for rich people, but the issue is how the borrowed money is spent. Conservative trickle-down doesn't work. Liberal trickle-down, which is funding programs and hoping it trickles down to those in need, doesn't work. Direct stimulus programs worked. More are needed." End quote. As we recently covered, the liberal trickle-down of welfare programs actually does sort of work as far as paying for itself and adding value to society. But I think we can all agree that ditching the conditions and bureaucracy makes it work many times better. I mean, we don't even have to speculate. We have a mountain of data that says as much. Glad to see Mark getting on the boat. Scott wrote a new article on a topic of fascination to me: how people define valuable work. I often ponder this. You probably know, as I've expressed it on the podcast before. It's fascinating how the ideology of the free market determining what's valuable has run amok. I often want to ask people, at what point in the path from playing games to becoming a professional gamer does it become work or valuable, and why? I don't think most people have ever considered such questions. We just assume that if it's profitable, then it's important and respectable, but so much of the most important work in society is done without compensation, and so much of the work that leads into profitable work is done for free as well. There is no magical dividing line between, say, writing for fun, writing that you publish, and writing that you get paid for. It's all work, and it's all valuable. It just takes society time to recognize the value sometimes, while other valuable work is never recognized by the free market at all, like parenting or this podcast. Anyway, link to the article is below. Yang will be visiting Dave Ross Sports tomorrow, the 22nd, at 7 p.m. Eastern to preview UFC 254 and probably talk labor rights for martial artists. David Kim put out a decidedly cheeky ad today. It's a faux debate between himself and Jimmy Gomez, but since Jimmy has refused to debate him, he was replaced by a suitcase full of corporate money. I gotta admit, Kim got me good with that one. Check out the video in the links. The Democrat and Republican candidates for governor in Utah have taken a radical, obscene approach in their campaigns. They endorsed each other? Okay, not quite, but they did make an ad saying that they are committed to positive campaigning, no character attacks, no vitriol, and a pledge to work together, whoever wins. It's, very strange. How does one react to such a foreign concept? I think I remember hearing of such conduct in the before times. I guess we'll have to see how it works out. I'd advise caution, though. That sort of thing could be a slippery slope to a functioning government. So I've been watching a lot of this video game, Among Us, during my scarce downtime. I mostly watch this crew called Offline TV play it. It's highly amusing. And guess what I find today? A live stream of none other than AOC, Ilhan Omar, and my favorite streamers playing the very same game for 3 hours. It's been a weird year. The game is about a bunch of people trying to fix a ship while 2 of them are secret murderers, so it's like a murder mystery sort of thing. The good guys try to suss out the killers and vote them out before it's too late. It's a bunch of lying, voting, and backstabbing, so basically just another day in Congress for them. They're doing it as an event to get out the vote. This is a really wise move, in my opinion. The gamer community is entirely ignored by politicians as far as I'm aware, and it's an untapped goldmine. I also can't deny that AOC is fairly adorable when she's having fun. As well, it has sparked an effort to get Yang and some Yang Gang influencers to do likewise, and I'm super down with that. Check out the video or the highlights clip in the links. Tomorrow night, the 22nd, is the last debate between Biden and Trump. Dare you expose yourself to it? The moderators have wisely taken control of the mics this time and will be muting the mic for 2 minutes at the start of each 15-minute segment, so each gets a chance to give a full answer. However, by my calculations, that still leaves 7.5 times as long for them to bicker, and of course, it will again be a stage for more constant misinformation from Trump. Not looking forward to it. Finally, Humanity Forward, the tease that they are, tweeted that they have big plans to unveil just after Election Day. They aren't sharing details, but they say it's a big deal, and they're asking for donations to help kick it off with a bang. Very mysterious, but exciting. And that'll do it for today's Yang Daily. Check out and share Kim's ad, AOC's live stream, the Utah governor's ad, the Pope, Purdue, and supermarket articles. Bookmark and share the Demand article, Mark Cuban's tweet, and Scott's article. Help recruit other organizations to the cause and get everyone to sign the UBI petition. Flood Congress and Trump with calls, tweets, and letters using the Resist Bot or Income Movement easy contacts below. If you need help, consult Humanity Forward, the Income Movement Aid Database, the Mission Asset Fund, United Way, or the H3 podcast thread. And don't forget to Yang Daily.